Okay, guys, so let's talk a little bit about some boxing. We're going to be talking about Luis Ortiz, Sadam Ali, but before we get into that, we need to talk about some Conor McGregor. Now, those of you who know me and know my channel, I don't know too much about MMA, but I do know enough to know that his name is not Conor McGregor, it is Conor McGregor, so I just got you guys there. But, okay, let's talk about Conor McGregor. Now, I don't know the guy who he's fighting, and I don't know much about mixed martial arts in terms of the UFC stuff. Now, I do know a bit about MMA in terms of the combat side of it, but I don't, because I've done a bit of mixed martial arts. I've not done a lot, but I've done a bit of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then obviously I've done a lot of boxing, but I've done a bit of BJJ. Not too much, just a bit to know the basics. And so I've got a little bit of a grasp of MMA in terms of that. Now, I don't watch too much UFC because I don't think it's appealing, because I don't think the ground game is that exciting. I find the ground game very, very boring to watch. The fighting up at top is really good, and I like Conor McGregor because he tends to fight a lot standing up, and I like striking. So, I mean, I don't mind watching Muay Thai, kickboxing, and boxing, but wrestling, I don't like it. I don't like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't like watching it, and I'm not a fan of it. However, Conor McGregor, he's moving up in weight. I don't know who the guy he's fighting is. I don't know, it's not a UFC channel, but I feel like I need to cover a little bit about it. Now, I've seen some... It's hard to not watch Conor McGregor because there's so much stuff pumped about him. And my opinion is he's a very good fighter. I think he can really fight. And the fact that he's moving up to welterweight and he's fought at featherweight, I think. And it's interesting to see how his body's blown out. Now, the thing is, I wanted to talk about moving up weight classes because... as everyone knows, Amir Khan right now has moved up in... He's moving up to the middleweight weight class, 155 pounds, facing Saul Canelo Alvarez. So I think it's a bit appropriate to talk about moving up in weight divisions now. I mean, if you look into the history of boxing, I think you'll find that moving up weight classes hasn't really harmed many fighters. A lot of fighters have actually benefited from moving up in weight class. Obviously, you'll get the certain scenarios. Apologies for the background noise. But obviously, you're going to get certain scenarios where fighters struggle when they move up in weight. But, I mean, a lot of the time, if you do it right and you add on muscle, and to me, Conor McGregor has added a substantial amount of muscle, and I think it's going to benefit him, this move up in weight class. It allows you to take a better punch, you're hydrated, you're more full. I think, generally speaking, I do genuinely think that Conor McGregor moving up in weight class, and anyone moving up in weight classes, is beneficial for them if they add on the right adequate muscle. However, you'll never ever be a natural at that weight class. Now, Conor McGregor is daring to be great in the UFC. And my thing is this, right? Eventually, he's going to take a loss here and there. He's not going to be like Floyd Mayweather, 18 years undefeated. It's just not going to happen. I mean, before Mayweather, well, who was it? There was Joe Louis. That's how far you have to go back to look at the record of in boxing of undefeated fighters. And MMA, you don't get that. Conor McGregor is not going to be undefeated for very long. He will take a loss here and there. He might take a loss tonight. But I like Conor McGregor. I like watching him fight. I think he's interesting to watch fight, and I think I'm gonna watch him tonight. I'll watch him tonight if it's not overlapping with these two fights. Now, Luis Ortiz is fighting Tony Thompson, right? So let's leave Conor McGregor and let's talk a little bit about Luis Ortiz first before we move on to Sadam Ali. Now, Luis Ortiz, I've seen him fight, and I think he's an exceptional boxer. He fights really well in the pocket. He's Cuban, so I mean, if you look at someone like Erislandy Lara in today's Cuban boxing, you'll see that Lara has a good control of range. He knows how to move around the ring, and they've got like a very similar fighting style. I mean, Luis Ortiz, he's more of an inside fighter, he's stocky, but it's crazy because Luis Ortiz and Erislandy Lara, you'd think that they wouldn't have any similarities, and on the surface, if you just look at it, they don't look like they have any similarities. But if you look at the actual boxing, I mean, Luis Ortiz is southpaw first of all, and if you look at Lara, right, the way Lara fights, I believe Lara's southpaw as well, from what I remember, what I recall. But it's just really interesting to see the way they throw the uppercuts and the way they fight. Now, Lara, he's longer, he's got long arms, he's not really a stocky fighter, whereas Luis Ortiz, for Cuban boxing, it's a bit rare to get stocky fighters because they look for fighters who have long arms, long reach, and they're slim build, and they fight like at range, because they've all got a similar fighting style of these Cuban fighters. But you see, Luis Ortiz has mixed it up a little bit. He concentrates a lot on the uppercuts. And if we see Lara really likes to throw the lead right uppercut. And similar with the Ortiz, he likes to throw the lead right uppercut. And it's a really rare style of boxing because, I mean, if you think about orthodox fighters, right, how many fighters do you know that will throw the uppercut with the lead left uppercut? You don't really see it. I mean, you'll see fighters duck and throw the right uppercut. But it's very rare that you'll see people throw a lead left uppercut. And that's the thing with Cuban boxing. Now, if you look at Luis Ortiz and the way he's fighting, he likes to throw his jab and he pivots really well, as these Cuban boxers do. And he'll throw the left, and then all of a sudden, you'll try and throw a punch, he'll make you miss, counter punch you with the straight left hand, right? Because obviously he's southpaw, so he'll pivot, he'll make you throw a punch, and I've seen him fight, he does this, he'll make you miss, he'll move back, and as you can see in his training as well, when he's got the aqua bag, he tends to move back a lot and try and keep his lower back mobile, and so he's flexible to move back, because what he does, he makes you miss like this, and he'll counter punch you with the straight left hand, and obviously that left hand has leverage behind it. Very clever fighter is Luis Ortiz, don't get it confused or twisted. He's very, very smart. Makes the opponent miss, comes back with the straight left hand, and followed up, bang, by a right uppercut. And if the right uppercut lands, it's more than powerful. And if an uppercut is very powerful, right, it's a very powerful punch. It's one of the most powerful punches you can throw in boxing, in my opinion. And I really think that when that punch lands for Luis Ortiz, the size that he is, he's knocking your ass out. So I think Luis Ortiz is a very thoughtful fighter who thinks a lot in the ring, very clever, and he's very dynamic, and he's got some power behind him. He's not as fast as I'd like a fighter to be, but in today's heavyweight boxing, I think you need to have size more than speed nowadays, because the fighters are just so big. But I think Luis Ortiz is going to take out Tony Thompson. Tony Thompson, he's tested David Price, but I mean, he's not really the A level. He's about C level tester, gatekeeper type fighter. He's a Soto Carros of the heavyweight division. Good fighter, and I respect Tony Thompson, but I think Luis Ortiz is going to take his fight. Similarly, Conor McGregor, I don't know who that he's fighting, but I think he's going to win his fight. And finally, let's move a bit on to Sadam Ali. Now, Sadam Ali, exceptional fighter, and I think that he's mixing it with Jesse Vargas, who isn't really the caliber of fighter that Sadam Ali is. Now, Sadam Ali, he comes from the Paulie Malignaggi camp, and I think Sadam Ali's a brilliant fighter. He doesn't load up on shots, and he doesn't have a tremendous amount of power, but what he does have is a lot of boxing brain, and very skillful. I believe he's a former Olympian. He has, I'm not sure if he's a former Olympian, but I think he is. And he has got an extensive amateur pedigree. And I think he's at that B level where he can face the likes of Bradley. He can face the level of, Thurman, Guerrero, the elite level welterweights. I think he's good enough to mix it with them. Is he good enough to beat them? We'll see tonight how good he is against Jesse Vargas. But I think Sadam Ali is at that level where he mixes it up with that level of opponent. I don't think he's on the level of Jesse Vargas. I don't think Jesse Vargas is the elite at the elite level. I think he's a good fighter, but I don't think he's that good. He wobbled. Forget about Jesse Vargas. I don't think Jesse Vargas is a good fighter, to be honest. I really don't. I think Sadam Ali is going to do him. I think Sadam Ali is a really good fighter, and I think you were going to see tonight Sadam Ali put on a clinic. I've seen him fight, seen him box. Let's see if he's got the heart. He's got a bit of pop, but not a lot of pop. I mean, if he was to stop Jesse Vargas, that would be a really big statement. But I don't think he's going to do that. I mean, you look at Paulie Malignaggi, he's not really a big puncher. And the reason is not just because he doesn't have naturally born punching power. I think it's also because Paulie Malignaggi doesn't fight like that. Similar with Sadam Ali, he doesn't fight like that. So it's going to be really interesting to see. He's a boxer, he fights on the back foot, he moves a lot. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how good Sadam Ali really is against the likes of Jesse Vargas, who is the best fighter he's faced until today. And if he becomes a 147-pound world champion, then he does. I believe it's a WBO title they're fighting for. So it's going to be interesting. Sadam Ali, if he gets hold of a title, let's see what happens. He's going to be the top guy of Top Rank, the title holder at 147 pounds for Top Rank. And so he will be promoted a lot, and he will get some big fights. Leave a comment section below. Please make sure you subscribe. I do see Sadam Ali fighting the winner of Pacquiao Bradley if Pacquiao doesn't retire. Not really fights I want to see, but hey, it is what it is. Comment section below. Please let me know what you think about these three fights which are taking place tonight. Sadam Ali, I wouldn't mind seeing him versus Bradley. That'd be a good fight, and I think that should have happened, but obviously Bradley's going Pacquiao route. But leave a comment section below, please. Make sure you subscribe.